In this video, I'm going to talk about using Inkscape to recording lectures and use it in class instead of using PowerPoint slides. I find it is much faster and easier to produce one using Inkscape than PowerPoint slide. I already made one video about making a lecture video using Inkscape. This will be on top of that, a little bit more details shown, but main focus is actually using this one in class. So here's the website. It's currently how it looks like. And I think the next one is showing that what the final product looks like. This is the Inkscape actually running. And I'll be using, suppose I run this one in front of class and explain solution of a certain homework problem. If it is a new material, and this kind of goes too fast, and I don't recommend using this type of thing to introduce a new concept and practice problem. But this is a homework problem, presentation of a homework solution, so student already have a chance to think about this problem, so I can go slightly faster. So this is it. So I hid some of the parts. So if I want, this is the problem part. So I will read this problem in class in front of the students and remind the students of the problem, what the problem is about. And if I want to show this first part of the solution, you click on that block and you can display what's the first part you want to show as a part of the solution as you add on explanation verbally in here. And you can see, you can control the audience's attention right to that. If you're showing the whole thing, audience will just go over all around and you don't necessarily grasp all their attentions. So, and you can show the next block, and then so when you get the idea, rather than making this multiple slides using PowerPoint and hitting an arrow button, that actually takes a lot of production time. This one, you know, you know, paste the entire source, and drawing this block using this rectangular mode is a fairly simple thing to produce. So I find it is much faster production. And the third part, and then so on. So you show eventually the whole thing. You get the idea. So let me explain how to actually make this one quickly using this photo slides. Apologize about the next one. I think it's correct. So you downloaded Inkscape. If you run it for the first time, it looks like this. You try to show this document, whatever the default size of the document. And I go to this left side, File and Document Property. You can change this size of the paper. And it brings up this type of dialog box. And there's a width and height. Then you have to experiment a little bit to get the right size you want for your video production or for your monitor you're using in actual class. And there's a pixel I set to that. So you get the document size. And I also use this one, the lower right corner, there's a percentage, and set it to 100%. And then when you're pasting screenshot, it doesn't change the scale, so you get a better quality when it is at 100%. The next thing is that the current page you just saw is set to this layer 1. So if you look at the bottom of that Inkscape window, you will see that's a layer 1. So be aware of that. And then that layer, and on that layer 1, you paste your source. This is a problem, and this is the entire solution. I wrote it down. Screenshot, you put it in there. So they're all in this layer 1. And next thing I want you to do, make your control smooth, is lock this layer 1. So if you're clicking on that button, let me go back, see if I can show that. If you see that is unlocked, now by clicking on that, and you can lock that button in there. And if you do that, you cannot change whatever is in a layer 1 again. So by dragging and do whatever you're doing, and this layer 1 will be always there and not edited at all. And next thing you have to do is going and adding a layer on top of that layer 1. Now you can't do anything about layer 1. Now you add layer 2 on top of it. Then there you're going to create the block. So name it whatever you want, layer 2 or layer, additional layer, whatever. So let me go back to this thing in here and actually use this actual software to show it how it works. Now as I'm on layer 2, and if I click on that, you probably can't see it. It lists the layers, so make sure you're in layer 2, and then choose this rectangular block. So if you just click on the drag, and it's going to create this type of block. On purpose, I set it to this unfilled rectangular setting, but we want to fill this one with white space. So there are two ways to do that. You see this white palette, the color palette down there. Make sure that this is showing. It is showing down there. Color palette down there. If you click on that white one, and it's going to fill in this entire thing. All right. And I'm going to go back to the unfilled one by just simply this clicking on the X mark. That's one way, it's the most convenient way. Just in case you lose control of something, if you go to Object, you will find Fill and Stroke, and that's going to open up this dialog box, and there's a fill again. So if you click on that Fill In button, and then it's going to choose a default color setting, and here you have to choose a different color scheme, and you can use this RGB control to make it white. And of course, this is much easier. Next thing I want you to think about is if you do not like this thick out boundary line, you can go back to fill and stroke again there and choose the stroke style. That was a fill part, whatever's happening inside. The boundary is called stroke in the Inkscape. So you have to click on stroke style. That is now a 3 pixel. So if I change that to 0.5 pixel, that's the size I prefer and use, then it's going to change by clicking on the arrow button. It's going to change the arrow button here. So that's how you create a block. Now you get the idea. You create this block like this, hiding the first part and hiding the second part, things like that. So you can keep creating this block. Well, if you compare with the, you know, what requires to generate a PowerPoint slide, it's much easier. It doesn't look as nice as PowerPoint slides, but it actually does what it's supposed to do. Getting the audience's attention to the part that you want them to pay attention to. So things like that. So you can, create this block. Just simply drag in that. This time I'm going to separate it and all that, right? And then you save it and you open that in front of class. Now they read the question. You just remove the first slide and they show that part like I did in the very beginning of this thing. So I thought this is something useful. I think useful tool in class and for making a lecture video and all. Thanks for watching.